Good evening and welcome to Being Black and Craft. We don't apologize for recognizing our influence on craft beer. And this is Angie, the Undeniable Vixen, your host. We have a great guest this evening, but let's go ahead and start with beer news. All right, so we have beer news, and there's one thing I totally forgot to get, but I'm going to scurry from the stage and bring it right back. But first off, we have a new winner from the honey beer competition. So Spaceway Brewing entered the honey beer competition and received a bronze for the best Belgian ale style and also a silver for the best design. So congratulations to Spaceway Brewing. They had a little bit of a hiatus, but they're coming back stronger and putting some beer out there. So I'm really glad about that. Then Barrels on the Bayou. So everybody who has went to Barrel and Flow, love going to Pittsburgh, or then there was like, oh, that flight is just a little bit too long. The price is a little bit too high. How can I do it? I'm one of those people because I haven't really been because of those things. But Barrels on the Bayou has been the answer to that cry. And it's going to be in New Orleans coming in next year on 2026. I actually saw Day a week and a half ago. He was here in Dallas on for a wedding or something like that. But I was asking him, I said, hey, what's going on with Barrels on the Bayou? When is it going to happen? I know October 1st is when the tickets are going to go on sale, and to get your mind right, because it's going to be very niche and very select as far as how many people are going to be able to participate as far as going to the function, as well as entering. So let me screen share. See if I can screen share real quick. Here we go. No. I want to screen share this right here. So it's saying calling all brewers, artists, speakers, vendors, and collaborators. So the submissions for Barrels on the Bayou is going to be due by November 15th. And what he was telling us as we were, questioning him about it, basically what he's wanting to do is to get those brewers, those winemakers, those people that ferment liquors, all that are in that southern corridor. So Florida, Texas, Louisiana, over up in that area. He's looking to get those people who can't really make that trip to Pittsburgh. He's wanting to celebrate and focus on them. So if you know anyone who is a brewer, artists, speakers, or vendors, or and want to collaborate, just like he does the collaborations with brewers, or even people with brewers that are there in that area, submit and see if you get selected. You never know. And then let me go back here. So that's coming up that's now. That I think he opened it up as of today, and submit something. So then want to keep on with New Orleans. When I was thinking about Barrels on the Bayou, I'm going to New Orleans in December 8th through the 10th, and we'll be teaming up with John Cajun Fire to do a panel discussion with CBP Connects New Orleans. So this is Andrew's baby. He goes all over different places, all different places in the nation, and has these summer camps to get knowledge, to connect with people from all over the country. And so I'm hoping that our presentation or panel discussion that we have will be very niche as far as talking about the culture of New Orleans and how fermentation is joined and married in that. So I can't wait to do that in December. And then friend of the show, Hannah, She recently won a silver for the Great Lakes Cider Competition. When I went to CiderCon, they had different options as far as submitting your cider. And she said she had never done it before. And so she's like, oh, I'll give it a shot. So I was with her when she was filling out her paperwork. And then when I saw this picture, I said, is this the one that you sent in? And it was. So congratulations to Hannah on winning that silver. It doesn't hurt to always try and put something out there, because you never know what you might get. You might win a medal. And then another friend of the show, Hermanos 1978, they're now available in North Carolina. So they are really moving this tequila. It's really good. I really enjoy it. They started out in the DMV, and now they're branching out to North Carolina. I was teasing him because we're also Facebook friends. He was traveling to Texas, actually to Dallas. I said, oh, are you coming to broker a deal for Hermanos so I can get my tequila without having to bother any of my friends from the DMV? He was like, no, not yet. But yeah. So congratulations to him on that, him and his brother. And then for some local news in DFW, if people have been following Smidox, Kumba was sharing some pictures of how they're doing some digging as far as getting the plumbing and everything worked out for the brewery. So slowly but surely things are looking up and forward and progressing. And I know that's something that he's been really looking to have this transition to finally open the doors. I know he's really excited about that. And I think that is all of my news. All right, so let me go ahead and introduce my guest. Good evening, Toni. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good, wonderful. So it has been I know when I initially reached out to you, it's been a minute. I know you've been doing some wonderful things, but I want to first kind of get our audience to know a little bit about you. Who are you and where did you grow up?
I actually grew up I was born in Louisiana, but I grew up in Los Angeles, Compton, Inglewood. I lived in I moved to California when I was 2 years old. I relocated from Los Angeles or Inglewood when I think it was back in 2007. I moved here because my mom had gotten sick. She had an aneurysm, so I just needed to, LA is very expensive, so I needed to find a house that I could afford, and Georgia is the place. It's getting kind of crazy now, but that's how I ended up here.
Okay. Do you recall the first sip of wine you ever had?
The first, yes, you know what? Back in the 90s, the first wine that I ever had was White Zinfandel, and I hate it today. And I think that's why I hate rosé, because I feel like rosé is White Zinfandel dressed up for the new millennium. Absolutely. Yep, I had that. And white Merlot way back in the day. I started with the sweet wines like most people do. And then I just kind of graduated to like Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, and just got drier and drier. Um, but yeah, it was the first wine I ever had was White Zinfandel.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about the winemaking studio. What epiphany did you have to even think about making that, having a studio for people to create their own wine?
Yeah, well, I first started making wine in 2010 just because I was curious. My kids were getting older, and I just wanted to start doing something else with my little piece of brain that I had that was mine. And I just started doing a lot of DIY projects, and I was always
Mhm.
sipping wine while I was making stuff. And just one day, I was like, "How do you make the wine?" And long story short, I figured it out. And then I love entertaining, so as I got batches that were ready, I would have my friends come over. We have like this quote unquote wine tasting, and back then it was such a big deal that they had a friend that made wine, because I really had never thought about the fact that you can make wine. yourself.
Hmm.
We love wine so much, I never even thought about making it. Um, but yeah, and so it went from me making wine, having them to come over and taste it, and hang out, to them coming over as I had additional batches ready to taste them, and I would start making another batch. And so it really became just winemaking parties at that point. And then we would start rotating each other's houses. Whoever was a person who hosted the next winemaking party, chose the fruit, and we just started rotating houses like that. And then they had friends who had friends who had friends that wanted me to come and do winemaking parties, and it grew from that. And then at some point, I think back in 2016, I just had to get a space because I was tired of going door to door. So I got my first commercial space in 2016 in Peachtree Corners.
Okay. So for our listeners who never made wine before, what's the very first step they should take?
I think the very first step that they should take is, so I got my equipment, then I did my research. I'm not sure if it matters what order you do it in, but I got my equipment first, and then um, I just figured out how to do it. I would say actually try to take a class, whether it's online or in person. And because with my studio, we do winemaking classes and winemaking experiences. We also sell winemaking kits. Um, all sizes. We do like a gallon, 3 gallons, 5 gallons, and 7 gallon kits for people who really want to do the damn thing. So I
Mhm.
would suggest that maybe do a little bit of research, get some equipment, but you really want to, before you dive into it, you really want to make sure that you understand exactly how the yeast works and the importance of cleaning and sanitizing, because that could be the difference between um, making wine and making vinegar, or just
Vinegar.
having other flavors that may deem the wine undrinkable.
So let me go ahead and give you a test case scenario. My
Okay.
daddy,
Okay.
he just thought, he's like, I want to make. He likes wine. He always likes wine. He said, I'm just gonna make some, and I think just because it was like he knew that it called for yeast,
Mm-hmm.
but he just went to the grocery store
Yep.
and got yeast.
Yes.
So, is there not wine yeast?
So there is wine yeast. Like, I get that question almost in every class when people are learning about yeast and how it converts sugar to alcohol. And people always ask that, and I tell them that there's over 200 strains of yeast. Depending on what fruit you're making, the climate, the temperature, there's so many different things. The alcohol content, they have so many different strains of. It's a whole nother lesson in itself. So
Mm.
so many different strains of yeast to choose from. But you definitely, the grocery store bread yeast, it will probably ferment the wine, but it's not going to get um the alcohol content up. How did this wine turn out?
Oh, I was. He drank it.
I bet he did. So I'm sure he probably drank it because it probably did not turn to vinegar, because fermentation is a controlled spoilage. So I'm sure it took the wine. It wasn't like, since it didn't catch any bugs or any multiply any bacteria. I'm sure it still tasted decent to drink. Probably got a buzz. Um,
Yeah.
but he was probably lucky, because if he just made the wine without cleaning and sanitizing, because the yeast would definitely latch on to any kind of microscopic bacteria and multiply it. And like I said,
Mhm.
it could definitely deem the wine undrinkable, or depending on the. Oh my gosh! Hi, my Rose. Give me one moment. I'll be right with you. Okay. Go back upstairs, honey. Okay. I want to stay with you, Nana. Okay. Please be quiet. Sit right here. Hi. I'm back.
No, you're
She was
fine.
she was gone. It's my baby. I'm sure someone's gonna come snatch her up. Okay. I forgot where I was. Melrose, can you go upstairs for me, sweetie?
I don't want to.
Okay. Okay, let's do this. Close the door. I was trying to. That's. Oof. Okay, but yeah. So.
I love honesty.
Okay, I'm sorry. What's up? Let me close it. Melrose, close the door so I don't hear your brother.
So we were still talking about yeast and how
And so you didn't want to try your father's. You didn't want to try his wine.
no, because the other thing that he did was from not I don't believe he boiled it or anything. He just left it outside.
Oh, that's okay. That's Melrose. That's okay. Stop, please. Stop. Okay. She's trying.
He left it outside to cook. And
oh, that's another thing though, because the temperature plays a very important part. Was that in Texas?
Yes.
That's interesting, depending on the time of the year, because if it's too hot, the sun can burn the yeast and stop the fermentation. And if it's too cold, the yeast will go dormant. But I'm sure whether it would taste like juice with a little bit of buzz or whatever it was, I'm sure he made wine. Just that one time he tried it?
I think he tried it twice.
Twice, okay.
Yeah.
And then that was just it? I've never not had a batch brewing. Since 2010, I've always had, no matter what I was going through, what stage of life I was at, or whatever, I always had some wine because it's therapeutic for me. It's therapeutic, it's rewarding, and it lets me be creative. I make wine from everything, and I really do enjoy making wine from anything but a grape. I really enjoy making wines that are delicious young drinkers.
Yeah, I was looking, I'm going to share this screen. I was looking at your list of different wines that you have.
Yes.
You have a plethora of different flavors. It's just like, wow. Because he tried to make a peach wine because we had a peach tree, so that's what he was making.
Oh, so you know what? Another thing is a lot of people don't realize that there is actually natural yeast on fruit, and so if he put it in there and just if he probably didn't need any yeast at all. If he had a lot of fruit, that yeast. So that I've never had enough fruit to play around like that. But a lot of people do make their make their wine natural. They just put it from the old school, especially in the South, especially put the fruit in a bucket and just let it do what it do, and then they come back to it, and it's like flipping a coin, though. Actually.
Yeah. I
Lord
can see that. But this, like your different variations are so interesting. It makes me very jealous. I wouldn't mind trying some of that.
Yeah, you know what? You need to come on out. They've been trying to get me out to Dallas to do a winemaking class. I look, a little winemaking session. I look at little spaces there. But I think I have a friend that lives there, and every year I tell her I'm gonna go out there and do a session while I'm visiting her.
Have you looked at Peer Space?
I looked at that's what I was looking at. Peer Space. Yes.
Okay.
But it's on my list. It's on my list. So I got to go out there and pay her a visit. And while I'm there, I'm gonna definitely do a session. Stop it.
Yeah, between that and then some different bars might even be interested.
Oh yeah.
Spaces that have big spaces like that. So tell me, what are some oops moments you saw as a beginner that you see beginners run into and how they can avoid them?
Well, the one thing my oops moment, twice I made vinegar. That's why I always stress the importance of cleaning and sanitizing. The cleaner and the sanitizer, we talk about that. I walk them through that in the class, and I also sell it with our kids. But if you miss a spot or if you're lazy, you can definitely your yeast can definitely catch a bacteria that And
Mm.
it's so many different bacteria. Like I said, sometimes it can just deem your wine undrinkable. It may taste like sulfur, or it may just have an off taste that you just can't stomach. But it can actually turn into vinegar. And because one time I made a 6-gallon batch of strawberry wine. I mean strawberry vinegar. Thank you. Strawberry vinegar, setting out to make strawberry wine. And so it's a couple of things that could have gone wrong with that. Fruit flies are notorious for carrying the bacteria that turned wine to vinegar. So it could have been that had left the wine exposed, whether I was tasting it or doing something like that. It could have been anything, but I definitely ended up with 6 gallons of strawberry vinegar. And from that,
Mm.
okay, go upstairs. And from that time, I started making vinegar on my own. I mean, on purpose, because I like to
Uh-huh.
cook. I never even thought about how do you make vinegar. I never wondered like how do you make vinegar until I made vinegar. And basically, it's just like ferment fruit, start off making wine, and treat it bad. Because the two things that feed vinegar are bacteria and go. No, you can go upstairs, please. The two things that feed vinegar are bacteria and oxygen. And so if you want to make vinegar, and I even thought about it, honestly, making flavored vinegar and selling it, but I don't have time to do that. I don't have time. For the people that like to cook, I do love flavored vinegar. I love to marinate my meats, like the grill and all of that. But I just make it for me right now.
Okay. Okay. So, besides enjoying a glass of wine, what are some of the coolest skills or lessons that people will pick up making their own wine?
I think that it's like I said, it's really therapeutic. It gives you the opportunity to be creative. You can blend different fruits. You can make wine from herbs, spices, vegetables if you want to. Around this time of the year, I usually start like a some holiday wine, and one is a sweet potato wine. And it's
Mhm.
so interesting because it gets to be very high alcohol, and I haven't figured out what that's about because I know it's there's sugar in the sweet potatoes, of course, but it's something that has to do with that starch turning to sugar as well because it gets high. The alcohol gets really high. It's like vodka, but it's sweet potatoes.
Oh, wow. So
Excuse me.
that's probably a high seller
Yeah,
when
and
they come to find out.
I kind of add like a little bit of nutmeg and nutmeg, molasses, and cinnamon just during this holiday season for that kind of that kind of feel, warm and fuzzy feel, and you can
So,
drink it warm.
oh, drink it warm.
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. So, like somewhere giving you kind of like the cider feeling, but it's a wine.
Yes, a wine. It's a wine, and it has a different taste.
Hmm.
It's a cider feeling, but it's a wine, and that one specifically, um, that it tastes like sweet potato pie. We put vanilla in it and everything, but it's really
Um,
yes, it's the flavor is really good.
okay. So, what is, I know you have so many babies, but what is one of your favorite pairings that you have as far as with your meals that you cook?
So you know what? I don't. People ask me that all the time, and I really don't do. Or so it's hard for me to drink anything, any kind of beverage with my meals. I drink them before or
Okay.
after, and so
Okay.
I don't. Yeah, I don't do the pairing thing too well.
Okay.
But I don't miss a sip though because of it.
Okay. So, during the class, how long is the class?
Yeah, so
Is something.
they're about so we do winemaking experiences that last about an hour to an hour and a half, just depending on how many people are in the class. And we also do more comprehensive winemaking classes for people who want to who have their own fruit, whether they're growing it, have access to a lot of fruit, or whether they went to the grocery store and picked some up, farmers market. So we have these more comprehensive classes that show people how to turn that fruit into, how to process that fruit and turn it into wine. With it's more steps. It's definitely more comprehensive than the fun winemaking experience. But both of them, you pretty much learn the foundation of winemaking.
And in both cases, you're going home with your own wine.
Yes, in both cases, you're going home with your own wine. Yeah. So with our the winemaking experiences, the new winemakers can choose from one 750 milliliter bottle, or a half gallon, or a full gallon to
Ooh,
take home. And so the more comprehensive winemaking classes, it can be a gallon. It starts at a gallon, 3 and 5 gallons of wine.
wow. That's a
Yeah,
lot
it's
of
fun.
wine.
And you know what? I say this all the time. Everybody who comes to the studio to make wine, it's always an amazing experience. Always an amazing experience. I've never had any issues with attitude, or I've never had any bad apples. And I think it's because people are excited to get outside and do something that they want to do,
Mhm.
maybe something that they've never done before. They get to meet people. It's always amazing. And I mean, it really doesn't, it's not work to me. I have a great time each and every class.
Yeah, it sounds like it's really fun and it's community building because where
Yes.
you are is very niche, very nice little area, right?
Yeah, so I have 3 locations now. When I first
Okay.
started off, in 20, well, so my initial location was in that I got in 2016 was, it was a not just a winemaking studio, it was a DIY. I call it a DIY clubhouse, a creative studio where we did everything DIY. Just imagine like a Pinterest board. We would do everything, including making wine. But then I moved on, and actually, after my son was murdered, I I just needed a reset, and so I relocated the business to what they call, I guess, Georgia's wine country. So I relocated it to a city called Dahlonega that's very popular for wineries and just, the whole wine experience. I was there I just moved from there. I was there for 3 years. So now I have another location in the city, downtown. I have 2 downtown locations now, which I really love because they're both walkable locations with a lot of foot traffic and high visibility, and I have another one that's in a commercial home in McDonough. So I love all of the locations for their own different reasons. They all have their own little charm.
Hmm, that's wonderful. Have those many locations. Uh,
Yes.
and and it's only I'm sure you have a team because I
Oh
know.
no. Yes, I could not, because yeah, I have one that's about 10 minutes from my house, which is a new one. I have another one that's about an hour from me, and then another that's 2 hours from me. So definitely I have help teaching those classes.
Okay, okay. At the end of the day, what's the most rewarding part of for you as a studio owner?
I really hit so many things, but definitely the most rewarding part for me is um, 'cause a lot of people don't realize that they can make wine. Like I was exactly like that. A lot of people don't realize that they can make wine, and it's been so many since I've been doing this. I've helped so many people become winemakers. Some come just and make wine for that one amazing experience, but others buy kits and they continue to make wine. I have one friend, she's a friend now that I met during COVID when I had to pivot a little bit like everyone else, started doing online winemaking classes. And so now she has a champagne. We learned, she learned with us all. Not with I was teaching, but she was a part of almost every class that we had, no matter what flavor we made. And now she has her own champagne brand. And
Oh,
yeah, so she lives in Detroit. And I'm so proud of her. And so it just that's one of the that's rewarding to me. I love people that love brewing, fermenting, making wine, making beer. I love that community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you were a part of Crafted for Action, weren't you?
Yes, I did that 2 years, last year and this year, as well as Pittsburgh with
Okay.
Data.
Yeah. How,
Yes,
how have you enjoyed being in part of that brewing community, the fermentation community?
I love it. And you know what? I really need to. So, like this year, I was busy closing a location and opening two at the same time, which is crazy. So, I, I want to find a way to make more time off duty to enjoy more events and get deeper into the community as opposed to just, popping in, setting up, doing a class, and then leaving. And I want to be more involved
Mm-hmm.
on the social level. I want to be a
Mm-hmm.
I want to be a consumer and a insider.
Yeah, definitely. That's when I did a collaboration, it was like I don't want to stand behind the I want to, let people taste what I have, and I want to. But I was like, I want to hang out. I want to find out, what everybody else is enjoying. I'm trying to see what's going
Exactly.
on.
That's how I really felt in Pittsburgh. It I hated to I mean, it was I had fun while I was there, but I didn't get a chance to experience
Okay,
everything.
okay, okay. Um, let's see. So homemade wine is like I would consider that like a really personal gift, very exclusive. So, are there any tips on bottling, labeling, and presenting a wine?
Yeah, and I always tell people too that they want to call it handcrafted. They want to call it handcrafted wine. Again, the tips for bottling for sure is making sure that your bottles are clean and sanitized, because
Hmm.
your wine can go through the whole entire fermentation process, and be absolutely delicious. But once you put it in those bottles, if they're not clean and sanitized, you could end up, bottling them, corking them, and then opening it up. And whenever you want to open them up to drink it, and it could be vinegar.
Oh
It could
my.
just be off because of some kind of bacteria. So they definitely want to make sure that they clean and sanitize the equipment. And when it comes to labeling, I just always say that just choose a label that I like fun labels,
Mm-hmm.
a label that just reflects who they are, if their life or their bottle tells a story. I would always suggest that they because people always ask, what should I label it, or what should I put on the label, and it really just depends on you. Like I have so many different labels. I make my labels myself because they change so often, just depending on
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I also recycle them too. But like I have a label that has um that's based on my late son, which no one would know what it is unless I told them. But it's just a part of my story. So I
Mm-hmm.
just say always just think about it, go deep in if you want to. Or some people just want to have a fun label too. Something simple.
Yeah. Okay. Let me
Yeah.
see. I'm trying to think. Um, I was looking at the pictures. And everybody was like so happy because they had their bottle of wine. They're like, look what I
Yes.
did.
I
And
love
that's
that.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I really, that's another thing that I appreciate so much. I love that. And one thing I will say, especially on this podcast, and I say this all the time, that I give so much grace if people are late because of traffic at any of their locations.
Uh-oh, we lost Toni. I hope her her phone didn't die on her. Let's see if we get her back. Y'all hang on for a second. Well, in the meantime, the winemaking studio is in Georgia, and she has a wonderful website called the Winemaking Studio, where you can see the different classes that she has available, as well as the different wines that she has available for purchase. So it is a plethora of wine that you can choose. And I think it's really great that you can, as easy as signing up and finding your own fruit to bring with you to make a certain type of wine. So I think that's really great. So I'm not sure if Toni's going to be able to make it back with us. I think she's trying to come back on. I think she is. But I'm really intrigued by this, by making my own wine. And like I said, my dad made his own wine, and it just seems like I was like, there was no way in the world that I'm going to drink that. It looked horrible. But from what Toni is describing, that he was pretty much spot on. So I guess I should have tried it, but I know it did give him a buzz for sure, because he was letting my uncle try it, and he was like, it was giving moonshine vibes. I don't know what those peaches were doing to that concoction, but that's what it was. I smelled it and I was like, I don't want any parts of that. No parts of that. So it looks like Toni's not going to be able to make it back in. But that was pretty much all the questions that I had for her. I was just really excited and elated to hear about her story and about her studio that she has created, and making 3 different locations available in the Georgia area, and possibly branching out to new locations as she travels. So I will keep up with her to see if she does make it to Texas and has a winemaking experience, because I would love to be a part of that. So that's really all that I had this evening, and I am going to go ahead and sign off, and I will see y'all next week. Have a good evening.